Welcome back to the channel. So the title is probably something like, what does the show Interview with a Vampire teach Black Canadians, or why Black Canadians should love capitalism, or something like that.
God, this is intimate. I feel like I'm financially inside of you or something.
Okay.
Because this show, though not its main point, trust me, does actually indirectly highlight something that got me thinking about the main character.
Why are you gay?
I'm playing, I'm kidding. Okay, now seriously, cards on the table, I like capitalism. Is it perfect?
The message Hollywood needs to send out is smoking is cool.
No way. But it's good at what it does and better than the alternatives, which, to be honest, is basic slavery with extra steps. So first, a quick summary of the show. In the year 2022, the black, late 20s, early 30s looking vampire, Louis Dupont de Lac, lives in Dubai and seeks to tell the story of his life or afterlife to a renowned journalist. Beginning in early 20th century New Orleans, Louis' story follows his relationship with the vampire Lestat de Lioncourt and their formed family, including teen fledgling Claudia. You might know of a similar story involving Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt from 1994. The show is about a couple of gay vampires, but that's not what I'm here to talk about.
So who is gay?
I can't with this guy. He killed me. The first season of the show takes place in New Orleans during the delightful Jim Crow era. Our main character, the MC, runs a wildly successful business. Granted, it's a bit on the sleazy side, pimping and prostitution. But hey, entrepreneurship is entrepreneurship, right? I mean, I wouldn't recommend this career path to anyone, but you got to admire his human skills and business acumen pre-vampire. He manages to create and operate his own business empire, uplifting his whole entire family in the process. And let's be honest, in a time when black men dining in the same room as white folks was more fantasy than reality, our MC managed to serve up his own meals in a lavish mansion of his own. If that doesn't scream the American dream and the very essence of capitalism, I don't know what does. That it doesn't matter where you're coming from or who you are, if you can sell a product to a market that wants what you're selling, or rather, if you can find a market to buy what you're selling, you deserve all the success that comes with it. And though there are some caveats to keep in mind given the era when compared to today, the opportunities and potential market reach now, the sky's the limit for the modern black entrepreneur. I hear this all the time, by the way, from lefties and liberals about how bad capitalism is. Socialism is the way to go. They cry or something like that. Sometimes they don't actually name it, but just rant about how capitalism ruins everything. And when I hear this from black folks too, then I'm a bit shocked. I mean, really? There were times where you couldn't get anything from white people because of your skin color. The whole gist of Jim Crow was that the social stigma and the state laws didn't change, but black people were freed. And guess what? That's kind of all you needed, a chance to participate in the market and capitalism, and even just a bit, just a taste of the free market, a fairy dust, and you could go from rags to riches. Now, not exactly, it wasn't that easy, not by a long shot, but who needs equal rights and social justice when you have the almighty dollar? Again, I'm kidding, not exactly, it wasn't like that easy. Rights are still pretty cool, but money can go a long way. Again, Louis' particular business is working with the ladies of the night, so definitely not something I would condone. In fact, maybe even the opposite. Much like how Louis' dark life led him into a twisted relationship with his family and a disastrous toxic romance with Lestat, vampirism on top of that being portrayed as this wild, drug-fueled escapade. Similarly, when black people get involved in shady businesses like drugs or pimping, etc., it's like they've signed up for their own personal hell. If they can't pull themselves out in time, it only goes downhill from there, spiraling into addiction, prison, or death, and the whole cycle repeats with the family members they left behind. It's like the ultimate choose-your-own adventure, but 90% of the story ends in tragedy, with 9% just survives, and the 1% actually get rich from it. One of the things I liked about Lestat, though, spoilers, is when he shows up and turns Louis. He gives Louis the ultimate backstage pass to see what his business partners really thought about him. It turns out they didn't respect him at all. They were basically waiting for the perfect opportunity to throw him under the bus. And not just a gentle nudge, more like shove him under, back up, drive forward, and then reverse over him a couple more times just to make sure he was thoroughly flattened. That's one of the dark sides of capitalism, no doubt. Depending on the people you're working with, when and if a better, cheaper, more profitable opportunity arises, that's when people's true colors come out. But that doesn't mean capitalism as a whole should be thrown out. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Terrible people exist in the world, and capitalism itself didn't make them terrible. They just are terrible and will find a way to exploit any other opportunities they can at others' expenses. Now, that being said, again, one of the reasons I got disheartened when I hear black people specifically talking down to capitalism is that it's a prime reason for the early success and early careers for black people. When you couldn't get a job because white people didn't want to hire you, but you needed food for the table, for your family, or shelter, etc., we created businesses. Take a look at 1920s. There were thousands of black businesses. Now, a lot of them were small, mind you, but even small businesses is still capitalism. I think when people think about capitalism nowadays, they're thinking of Walmarts and Amazon, which just dominate the market so heavily with such a overwhelming share of distribution and reach. But throw shade at those particular companies who are, again, abusing capitalism. Don't attack capitalism itself. And again, some of these conglomerates are sort of the dark side of capitalism, but again, everything has a dark side. What it's really about is the ability for people to attempt to make something out of themselves and build something out for themselves and their family. And black people, specifically during the Jim Crow era, were doing just that. One of the oldest, damn near the oldest actual black-owned business known as the Peanut Butter Factory. No, I'm kidding. It was E.E. Ward Moving and Storage. It's the nation's oldest continuously running a black-owned business that got its start as part of the Underground Railroad system in Columbus, Ohio in 1940s. And you're going to tell me capitalism is a bad thing? I just don't believe you. Known as African American businesses originating in the days of slavery before emancipation and civil rights permitted a businessman to operate inside the American legal structure, starting in the Reconstruction era and afterwards. Anyways, what you really need to know is by the 1980s, thousands of small businesses operations had opened in urban areas. Now, even those times weren't perfect. Even with the capitalistic drive to achieve greatness for the black people, and honestly, a lot of segregation that people went through in the South during the Jim Crow era kind of created the infrastructure for the black businesses to work in the first place because of how many people were, shoved together in a community that had to depend on each other. There's a lot more to this, so I'm not going to let it all out in this video here, but I want to express the usefulness of capitalism for all, not just black people or white people, but for everyone. It's not something to be hated. It's simply a tool in North America and other parts of the world, of course, to be used to your benefit. And unlike Jim Crow era, we live in a time right now where not only can you get wealthy off the businesses, if you are really good, you can become a billionaire off of your businesses. And I think that should be something black people should take pride in, is how against all odds we've made it through with heart, determination, the integrity, and skills available to us. That's it for today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more.